This should be a business for the three of us. I think all of us should contribute to the reimagining of these flawed classics.
What, the Disney ones? Yeah. But here's okay. But have you watched the newer ones?
Well, I've watched.
Because they have been reimagined.
We did.
I didn't want to spoil it for you because I
we
figured
did
you were
Moana the other night.
Yeah.
But it gets really violent. I'm like,
that's what it's like. That's what it'd be like to be young, female, and black. When your friend is a chicken and one is a pig, and you're stuck with an older guy with a catamaran, and your gran is a ghost, and your grandfather ran away from your dad, and he's the spirit of the seas.
The chicken.
Eugene watches a lot of Moana.
As
you can tell.
One, yes.
How old?
My daughter's turning 17 this year.
Oh, 7. Oh, you're years away from this.
What?
From Moana.
We watched it the other day.
Can you not tell? What do you mean? You're assuming that his daughter is the one who wants to watch it.
Oh, I see. Oh, yeah.
I was the one who was saying.
She has to put it on for him.
Make way! Make way!
Yeah, she's the one who's putting it on for him. This is What Now with Trevor Noah. In fact, here's another reason, Malcolm Gladwell, you should be pro pickleball.
Mm-hmm.
I know your views on golf.
Yeah.
I know how much you hate the fact that like golf takes up inordinate amounts of spaces, and it's unfairly apportioned to the pickleball.
Yes.
Turns one tennis court into 4 pickleball courts.
Wait, is that true?
That is completely true.
4. It quadruples the
Yes.
output.
It quadruples.
Didn't you lobby for one to be turned into
Yeah. I did. And most pickleball games, are generally played by 4 people. Most tennis get-togethers are 2 people. So technically,
it's really 8x the productivity of the space.
Uh-huh.
I wish you could come see a match.
All right.
No, that's why I think you would love it.
Yeah.
It is the sport of the people.
All right. There's a point at which when Trevor starts banging the egalitarian democracy drum on behalf of.
But it is though. I think that's what it is. How you been? What have you been up to?
I have been. Well, as I said to you before, I now have 2 children.
Yes, congratulations.
Thank you. I have 2 daughters. Yes.
Started late and you've just kept going.
I started late. I kept going. I think I'm stopping at 2. They are enormously entertaining. I spend an enormous amount of time consuming children's television and music.
What's your favorite show? Bluey, Coco Melon,
No.
Peppa Pig?
Well, the good thing, there's a lot of Peppa Pig going on in my life right now. Although I'm trying to phase it out. We're on to the Disney movies.
Hey.
I'm discovering all these things that other people discovered many years ago. So and this is the thing about parenting, is that parenting it rides on the illusion that you are discovering for the first time what the rest of the world has known for millennia.
Get it out.
So I have discovered that the early Disney movies are 50 times better than the most recent ones.
Yes.
I never saw these as a kid, so I'm seeing them for the first time. So I've watched a lot of, for example, Snow White. And first of all, Snow White is astonishingly good. But the best part about it, and this is actually because I've been part of a larger thing I've become very interested in. The best part about Snow White is all of and also even more so probably with Cinderella.
Okay.
Is their willingness to go on these tangents. Like in Cinderella, there's 20 minutes on the mouse playing with the cat Lucifer, and they leave the whole story, set it over here, and it's just the cat and the mouse. And the self-confidence of the filmmaker, they're like, the kids are happy to put Cinderella to the side and just go with the mouse and the cat for 20 minutes. And they'll come back to us. We have such confidence in our story and our storytelling ability. And I feel like today, when you watch the newer ones, there's never any of these digressions.
No.
And one is they don't understand how kids' minds work, or even, how human beings' mind works. Well, you know this as a comic. In comedy, right? It's the digressions that often get you the biggest laugh.
Yes.
When you veer off the path, boom,
Segways.
right?
But I think conversations are the same.
The same. Yeah.
I think in everything, the surprise is what actually gets you going versus where you thought you were gonna get to. But
So why aren't they doing that with the kids? Why
but
why did they forget the digression?
I think it's a market economics thing. I think I have this fight oftentimes with people who work in new television, right? Especially in streaming. I think they read data wrong. That's my opinion, is that they look at the data and they go, oh, if it's not engaging in the first 2 minutes, then people are not going to watch, and you've got to catch their attention, and people like short content, and people like this, and people like that, but they've made all these assumptions based on data. But data, as you know better than anyone, you can read data however you like, and it can tell you the story you want it to tell you. So I think a lot of the things that are being made today are being made with the idea that people don't have an attention span, but I don't think that that's true. People still have attention spans.
Very much.
The difference is people now have more choice than they had back in the day, so they don't tolerate shit in the same way that we used to. Do you know what I mean? So I think maybe it was like a little bit of arrogance or just confidence on the side of like old Disney. But I also think no one was telling them, oh, the data says you got to move on.
Yeah, nobody was giving them instructions. The other thing that's interesting is that the mistake that data makes is that they don't account for the fact that the audience might change its mind. And audience is changing. The moment when an audience changes its mind, and when I say changes its mind, I simply mean when they might go from indifference to engagement, from puzzlement to joy, to just some shift. And again, I'm sure you've experienced this a million times because you live this in some sense in your live performances. That moment doesn't always happen at the beginning. In fact, sometimes it's way better if it happens deep into the performance. And you can tell. Why are you guys pointing at each other?
We both, Eugene and I met doing stand-up.
Yeah.
That's how we met in South Africa. How many years has it been? 20
Almost
now?
20 now.
Yeah, 20 years ago we met. We basically started stand-up comedy in the same week.
Yeah.
In the same venue. And that's like our origin story. And it took many years, then we became friends.
Yeah.
But what you're saying now
Yeah.
is exactly, that's why, this is exactly what we've been saying.
The shift.
But it's exactly the way you said it there.
Even this morning we had the same conversation about something else that we go.
Is that sometimes the reward is not that you get it immediately, it's that you don't know when it's going to happen, and then all of a sudden you go,
that's it. This is it.
Wow, I'm into something. You know where that happened to me recently? Have you watched, maybe your girls are too young, but I think they'll still enjoy it. Have you watched Demon K-Pop Hunter on Netflix?
No. I've seen it.
Can I tell you? K-Pop Demon Hunters or K-Pop Demon Hunters, I think. I started this movie. In the first 3 minutes, I was like, this is not for me. And then 40 minutes later, I was sitting there on the couch, completely mesmerized, completely entertained, just bopping along. Just like every day, that's just me singing along, just you're my shoulder pump, you're my nana shoulder pump. I can't explain it.
Yeah.
But it's what you're saying.
Yeah.
I gave it a chance. I went with it. And now I got the reward. But if I succumbed to that initial instinct, that 3 minutes, 4 minutes, I would have gone, this is not for me.
But that's sorry, Malcolm. That's very similar to what stand-up comedy really is. It's like raising children. You suspend disbelief. And you just go with the flow and be able to be surprised at some point.
Or you just bump into something.
Because that's what happens when adults watch children's shows. They first start resisting. Then they go, no, well, no, dog is not talking. And they go, wow, Blue is a boy? Blue is a girl? Is what's going on here? Then you become more involved because you've suspended disbelief, but it takes a long time. And that's what happens with comedy. The first 5 minutes, you're trying to express yourself and you're trying to go to people, forget about your job, forget where you parked your car. Let me take you to another planet. Then
who is your favorite character? Bluey? Yours, not your girls. There's got to be something you watched where you're like, because
in this recent iteration, because I never watched any of this as a kid.
But that's what I'm saying. You never watched TV as a child.
No.
No.
I honestly didn't watch
Malcolm
TV.
Gladwell didn't watch television as a child.
How?
He lived in like a learned household.
I didn't watch television until I got to college.
At all?
Well, barely. I mean, I would go over to a friend's house every now and again and watch a football game, but I knew nothing. I mean, I would fake it.
You think that you've never watched TV?
No. At the time, so if you talked to me in high school, you would have thought we had a television. But I was just reading about. I was just reading about these shows and faking it.
You think that you had watched television?
Oh man, this is so funny.
You see this week on the A-Team? Oh, the A-Team.
No, it's not that hard to. It wasn't that hard to do. And I was a huge basketball fan and football fan in high school, and I had never seen a professional basketball game, and I had only seen like an incredibly small number of. But I could, to this day, I can talk about the 1970s era San Antonio Spurs. My favorite player was the Iceman, George Gervin. I never saw George Gervin play. I would read about him in Sports Illustrated once a week, and I constructed George Gervin in my mind. And I would read these. To this day, I can quote. George Gervin was he was a kind of spectral figure. He was, again, I never saw him, but this is what I learned from reading about him. He was the greatest scorer in the game in the mid '70s, and he was very, very, very thin. And he had all these he was not a great athlete, but he had all these kind of wily moves. And he would give these incredibly cone-like, bizarre quotes to the media. And my favorite one was when he was explaining his ability to get to the basket. Whereas I be not too fast from here or there, otherwise my game be zigzagging. Which as a 12-year-old,
so you never heard that voice. That was the voice you heard. But those were the words he said.
Yes. Whereas I be not too fast from here to there, otherwise my game be zigzagging. And I remember, so I'm 12. I'm in rural Ontario in Canada, in a little farm school with like a lot of Mennonites. I have no TV. I have no conception of what a professional basketball game is. And I read that quote, and I just think, this guy sounds so fantastic. So I have growing up, I have a big poster of George Gervin,
who you had never seen play.
To this day, never seen him play. I mean, he's long retired, but every now and again, there's some mention of George Gervin.
You have no yearning to like go find like a tape or go.
I don't want to ruin it. It was way better in my imagination. Imagine if you're working off that quote. So he's not fast from here to there, but his game be zigzagging. You can imagine in your mind how he gets to the basket, right? He's literally, I have the picture on my wall. He's 6'7", 6'8", and if he's 160 pounds, I'd be stunned. He's rail thin. So he's like slipping and sliding his way through and like, doing something, I don't know, I never saw him, but like doing some weird thing with his hand. That's, so like, I became hooked on. To this day, I'm a massive basketball fan, but that was its origin. Was I know all the stories of these players. I just don't know anything about.
I mean, that's the most important thing, isn't it?
It is the most important thing.
No, really, it is, because that is the story. Like when we talk about a legendary game, if you go like Liverpool, AC Milan, you're talking about the story.
See,
yes,
that's what you're doing.
I do that every time with football. Every time, because I hate football.
Oh God, I hate how he does this.
I hate football, but I've learned where to jump in. Let's make an example there.
I hate this.
Let's say you're talking about
I can't believe you're going to make me entertain this.
Go ahead.
Wait, what's your favorite football team, by the way?
Liverpool.
How did it come to be Liverpool?
So, I grew up. Oh man, you know what? Let me give Eugene his example so he doesn't mess up my.
No,
my
you're
world.
doing quite well. Go ahead.
No.
Please.
I'll give you the example. Have you seen how Liverpool plays?
Jeez, Anyway, carry on. Yeah.
This season with Arne Slot. And just like since Arne Slot came, you've seen an evolution in the game.
But before there was Arne Slot. Anyway, carry on, yeah?
This is what he does.
Yeah.
He's never watched. He doesn't watch. He doesn't care to watch. He doesn't care. And then I've seen him inflame people around us.
Yeah.
Because they'll get agitated because they'll think he's agreeing with them or disagreeing with them. And then I have to stop them and go, Eugene doesn't know anything about the sport.
I be zigzagging.
Otherwise, you forgot the otherwise, which is the crucial. That is in the construction of that sentence. The otherwise. Anyway, go.
So okay, I'll tell you how I became a fan. So it is a long story, but it'll tell you a lot.
We've got time.
Okay, thank you. I didn't grow up liking soccer. In fact, I quite hated it because it was the thing that interrupted my ability to play video games on a television. So whenever I'd want to play TV games, as they were called when I was young, then my uncle and all these people would walk in and be like, turn that off. We want to watch the game. And as a child, I used to think that the game was like 3-4 hours long. I was just like, this never ends, right? Yeah. So I didn't like it, because we had one TV and that TV was taken away from me by football. Fast forward many years, ironically, video games bring me back to the sports. So a series gets released called FIFA, and it's a soccer game. I play that. I start loving the game. Like you, I start falling in love with players who I've never watched because I see them as digital recreations running across my screen. Who is this person? You know what I mean? I'm Miroslav Klose. Who is this German? I love him. The way he headers the ball, and I get sucked into this world, which is a facsimile of the real world. So when I talk to people who love football, they know what I'm talking about. And then at some point it would break down because they would go like, oh, where did you? And I go like, oh no, I don't watch the game. I just play the video game. Some people would be happy. Others would feel like I'd betrayed them. They feel like I'd catfished them.
Sounds familiar.
So then I think from there I started falling in love with the game.
With the real game.
Yeah, with the real game.
Yeah.
And then...
But are you watching Premier League in South Africa?
It was on, but I couldn't get it. And I think that's part of it.
Yeah.
You had to have a premium television.
Exactly,
you had satellite TV, that type of stuff. So you fast forward many years, and I've now become a fan of players, coaches, and random, collections. I don't support teams at this time because I was like, a team doesn't care about me. They would sell a player without consulting anyone. I would see friends around me distraught. Literally, I've seen it even now in the NBA. People, how could we trade? How could we trade Luka? How could we? And I'm like, what? It's not we. They did it to you. You're sad now. And so I remember thinking, the one thing I do not want is to be part of this inherited sadness that I have nothing to do with. So I would just support players. I'd go around with them. Then one day, through the video game, I fell in love with a coach by the name of Jürgen Klopp, German coach who was coaching a team called Borussia Dortmund. And Dortmund, what I loved about them is they were the underdogs of the German league. They were playing against a team called Bayern Munich, who were the most powerful, richest. They won every year.
So they were top of the heap in the Bundesliga.
See, this guy knows the Bundesliga. You see what he did there? He got me excited. Then I remembered he doesn't care. But for that moment, you got me excited. And they challenged and they won. And they to borrow from the movie 300, they showed that a god could bleed. And I loved what Jürgen Klopp had done. Then Bayern Munich basically bought all the players from that team. Other teams bought the players. The team didn't become... Jürgen Klopp left. He went to Liverpool. At the same time, Liverpool in the video game was becoming better because they had a bunch of players who were amazing. Fernando Torres, Daniel Sturridge, Raheem Sterling, all of these guys. So I was loving the players in the video game because it was great to play with them. Jürgen Klopp goes there. Then I became friends, closer friends with another South African who loved Liverpool. He wouldn't stop talking about Liverpool, but he would show me cool things that were around Liverpool. And then the first live game that I went to was a Liverpool game, but it was in New York, ironically. And
have you been to a Liverpool game in Liverpool?
Oh, I have. It's like church.
Is that the one where they sing "You'll Never Walk Alone"? Oh my God,
I just got goosebumps.
Okay, so
Malcolm, you're so good.
That video, there's a short list of 5 YouTube videos that I just endlessly watch whenever I need some kind of. And there's a video of the crowd singing. Do you know? I don't know. I mean, there must be
goosebumps.
Many. Must be many, but should you explain that?
Please explain to me. Yes.
The context is
yes.
It's a song by, is it Jerry and the Pacemaker? Who sings it originally? Someone who sings it originally.
No, man. What's his name, Ryan? Jerry and the Pacemaker. It is
Jerry and the Pacemaker. But they have a tragedy up.
Yes. The Hillsborough disaster.
And they adopt that song.
Yeah.
Oh.
And then they sing it every time. They sing it at every game.
Yes.
And the whole crowd in that wonderful way. The one thing about English football that, again, I know nothing about it, but I know that they love to sing, that collective singing. And collective singing is one of the most emotionally powerful things human beings do.
It really is.
Choral music. It's
voices in unison. Yeah.
And they sing this song, and there's a video online, and it's just I'm in tears a minute in.
You get it.
And I have no connection with Liverpool.
You get it, my friend. The first time I heard that song live, I was actually in Ukraine, and I'd gone to watch Liverpool in the Champions League, hearing it live like that. And it was the Champions League final. They were playing against Real Madrid. And I will never forget that moment. You walk into the stadium, and as we walked in, they started singing it. They first play it on the PA system in the stadium.
Yeah.
So you hear the original voice, when you walk. And then the crowd starts picking up.
Sing more of it. Come on.
Where it's just when you walk, and it starts and it plays through the storm. hold your head up high. And then the crowd starts coming in. And don't be afraid of the dark. Sing it, Ryan. I know you want to sing it. And like...
No, carry on, don't stop.
No,
such a great song,
my
by
man,
the way.
Everyone, this is the part where everyone must...
Yeah,
everyone.
50,000 people are singing this thing. And it's just like, it's devastating.
Malcolm, you're almost winning me over here.
And there's a part where the best part of the song in every stadium, in every game, is it stops.
That's right.
There's a part where like the
music stops.
I don't know if they stop or if you can't hear it. Maybe it's the magic that makes me think that. But all you then hear is the crowd. Because it gets to like the bridge and then the chorus, you know what I mean? It's like, walk on, the rain, walk on. And you feel it reverberating through the rain, and you'll never, and it's just like, and then the whole crowd,
It's
man.
so good. But even...
I got goosebumps just listening to you
on top
guys.
of that, I'm not going to be corny. The message is so beautiful.
It
in
really
response
is.
to this tragedy, this idea of singing a song, all of us singing a song saying you'll never walk alone. It's like, it's a song essentially to the families of the victims, right?
Yeah.
We're with you.
It's a tribute.
It's so beautiful.
Yes.
It really is beautiful. It is music at its best in that kind of...
Yes. And all of these things drew me to the club, because what I also loved about that story was that song, the club, everything. It was like one of the, not first, but it was one of the more significant stories where people realized that a tale could be told about a group of people that wasn't true, that could affect how other people see them. So at this disaster, like the press at the time, Ryan, you'll correct me at any point when I'm wrong here, but like it was the press at the time, they basically, the mainstream press blamed the fans and blamed the people who had died, and they were like, you're the cause and blah. And then it came out that it wasn't, and it wasn't their fault, and it was, what did the police have to do with it again?
The police lied and said the Liverpool fans caused the stampede.
So it was a stampede.
That's right.
Yeah. But they said the fans caused it.
It's a bad
That was the
designed
main thing.
stadium too, isn't it? It's a defect.
It was
in the,
everything. But the point is, they blamed the fans. They didn't just go like, "Hey, let's see what happened," and we don't. No, they blamed the fans, and so part of it also became this rallying cry against, an establishment that was unjust.
And in that moment, are we talking about the 70s? When does this happen? Wait.
Ryan,
I can appeal.
just shout Ryan anywhere in the world.
Ryan,
if you
when
have a
does it
Liverpool
happen?
question, you shout Ryan, and
Ryan
he'll
is
answer
Grok.
it.
I think it was in the early 80s.
Oh, early 80s.
Yeah.
Yeah.
But it is goosebumps.
Yeah.
And so now, to get to the end of that, the reason I love Liverpool, the way they play football, the fans, when you go to Liverpool, like Liverpudlians.
What are they called?
Liverpudlians.
The Beatles.
The funniest people, the most interesting people, the cult. I can't.
The
when
accent is fantastic.
It really is amazing. It really is.
Can you do it?
I can't do it perfect. No, if I talk to, there's a comedian, John Bishop. If I talk to him for a while, I can start picking it up. But then I lose it. Because like English accents, if you mess up one part, all of a sudden you're like,
Back to default.
yeah, you're in like Birmingham now, and they're like, no, that's Brummie, and you're like, wait, say it again, and you have to find like a few keywords.
I was sitting in a coffee shop this weekend, and there were two people from Manchester, young, and one was just moved here to work, and one was visiting her, and they were talking that accent. It was just so fantastic. Describing New York through a Manchester accent, it's just like I just stopped working and just eavesdropped for like an hour and a half. It was just amazing. But anyway, there are very specific, those you can locate the the region.
Really, through the accent on its own.
Oh yeah, you know the guy. There's a linguist at Columbia, John McWhorter, and he can tell. I always call him up if I have any kind of and play him tape of people talking, and he'll say, "Oh yeah, that person's from they're from Baltimore and they grew up in the 70s, right? Or they're from."
Damn.
He has that I've been trying to force him to encourage him to write a book about America, a history of American accents, where he describes an audiobook, where he walks you through how you can tell the difference between someone from southern Kansas and someone from, Nebraska, or, in the
Those
way
stories are always the most fascinating.
And he's also, he's this incredibly fascinating guy. He's a black guy, heavily into Broadway theater, linguist, kind of a little bit of a provocateur. He's incapable of being uninteresting. He just, everything he says. My favorite thing is I'll go to see, he's a law office at Columbia. I've gone a couple times and I just play him tape and I say, what's going on here? He goes, well, and then he's off to the races, right? I played him a tape of I might have told you this story before. I was doing this thing on Tom Bradley, the black mayor of Los Angeles. And I was listening to all this tape of him. He was the mayor in the 70s and 80s. And if you listen to him, he sounds like a white guy. I was like, well, that's weird, because if you were a black mayor today, you wouldn't sound like a white guy. So I go to John and I say, well, what's going on here? He's like, well, there was a period in American life where if you were a black person and you wanted to succeed, you had to sound like a white person. And that ends in, and he tells me the moment that it shifts. Like, you can listen to there's a moment when being a black public figure no longer required you to sound white, but required you to sound black. Whatever local, regional. Otherwise, you went from being before that moment, you would be seen as illegitimate and uneducated if you sounded quote unquote black. Yeah. After that moment, you would be seen as inauthentic, as pretending to be someone that you weren't.
And what was the catalyst?
The catalyst, I forgot. It's sometime in the late 60s, early 70s. I've forgotten the specific, but it has to do, as you can imagine, with the rise of kind of black empowerment, black nationalism, black empowerment. It's this incredibly crucial shift in the way white people view black people and the way black people view themselves in this country. And it's marked linguistically. And so John Bradley was a vestige. He's born in the teens. So he's a vestige of the earlier, and you listen to him this guy is like black. He's not light skinned. He's and he was the most powerful black politician in the country for years and years. And if you never saw a picture of him, you would think he was white. It's just so fascinating to me.
I love. Eugene, how many languages do you speak?
Well, as many as possible in South Africa, but
but I mean seriously.
Quite a lot. Yeah,
how many in South Africa?
No, because he's like one of my favorite linguists.
Are you serious?
Yes, South African languages. Yes,
he's phenomenal with languages.
Wow. Wait, how many languages are spoken in South Africa as a whole?
11 official, which the 11th one is a sign language, and the other one is Khoi.
And how closely related are they?
Well, so there's Nguni, which is Zulu, Xhosa, Sindebele. They sound almost alike, and Swati. And then there's Sotho, and there's the Northern Sotho and the Southern Sotho, which is Tswana and Sepedi. So they're all almost interlinked, but if you don't know how to tell the difference, you wouldn't be able to.
Why is it you know so many of them? What is it about your life that led you to master 9 of them?
Well, I grew up in a township, like many South Africans at the time. And in our section, it was a Tsonga section. Well, my grandfather worked in the railroads. So he came from Nelspruit, where they speak Siswati. So he came all the way to Pretoria. And then in Pretoria, they put him in a section where Tsonga people live. So he had to learn Xitsonga. So
which isn't like mainstream.
Not very mainstream. So there's 2 languages that are not mainstream, Xitsonga and Tshivenda, which is more north, and the other one is the other side. So he had to learn that. And when we grew up, it was just a language that he would speak with his friends around the neighborhood. And then when we would go to school, we'd go to another section that speaks isiZulu. And the school that I went to, I had to learn isiZulu. But to get to that school, I had to go through a section that spoke Sotho. So to navigate your way from home to school and to understand because I was very nosy, to understand what my grandfather was saying with his friends, I would often eavesdrop and I would ask him, what is that? What is that? And before I knew it, I could speak all the languages. And my mom was a nurse. So in hospital, she would be called all the time to come and translate for the doctors who couldn't understand the language. So language just became normal.
Do you mix them up, or do you stay with one language when you're speaking it?
I choose to stay with one, but it becomes easy because I sometimes speak Xitsonga with him, and he thinks he doesn't know Xitsonga, but he speaks very well Xitsonga.
No, I understand, but that's fluency in a language. But here's the thing that remember: is we have 11 official languages. I would argue most people in South Africa speak 2, 3 maximum. For the most part. So like when I'm always fascinated by people who speak like way more languages, because I go like, how do you? And then I'll ask him for the vocabulary and the words, but the accents that you're saying, I find super fascinating because it's a story.
Yeah,
you know what I mean. We forget that when somebody speaks with an accent, there's a story that comes with that accent. like always.
It is almost the same in South Africa, what your friend was trying to explain to you when languages and accents started losing what their value was to the people that spoke the languages. So migrant workers would their kids would assimilate to where they were.
Yeah.
So they would lose the language. So people who speak Isiswati are from the kingdom of Eswatini, which is formerly known as Swaziland, will be closer to people that live in the Nelspruit, which is the east. But when they come to the north, they would stop using that language. And there's also a historic kind of side to it where King Shaka, king of the Zulus, had a brother that he sent. His name was Soshangane, that he sent up east to go to Mozambique, to go conquer there.
Yeah, northeast.
Then he never left. He found it interesting and he loved it. With his little tribe, he built a nation, and those people started speaking a dialect of what the people there were speaking, which was a mixture of Portuguese and their indigenous language. It was called Xitsonga. But then when people were being derogatory towards his brother, they said Shangan. And then people were called Shangans. And then that language started dying out because people were ashamed to be called by the majority group that they're called. Basically, if you call someone that, you call them a defector.
Oh, I see.
I love these things
I
because...
do. I think it's fascinating. Yeah.
So to your point, one of my friends, she was deep in... she studied this for acting school, in the UK, and then came out here. Ella, Ella Belinska, fantastic actress, and she learned all these things, and she took me on a journey, like you're saying. So she can show you how the New Orleans accent, you can trace it back to an actual French accent.
Wow!
And if someone does it well, you'll go, that's not possible. I've even had a friend show me that with Jamaican, and then take Jamaican and then stitch it to parts of England, but then also stitch it to parts of India, and then you end up with a Jamaican accent.
Wow.
And you're just damn, it's amazing how you're telling a story every time you're speaking.
Because all of those, Jamaica had lots of Indians, lots of Chinese, and heavily Scottish. The initial kind of white immigration into Jamaica was Scottish. Largely.
Oh, I didn't know that.
Yeah. So you have it's why so many Jamaicans have Scottish last names, right? That you get that, you can see the elements that combine to create. Actually, I knew a Jamaican girl once. Not Jamaican. Well, she's complicated. I met her. She grew up in Miami. Her family was Jewish. Her grandparents had lived in Cuba and then had moved to Jamaica. So she had, her accent was Miami, Cuba, Jamaica, Jewish. And I could listen to this girl all day long. I just everything else about her just faded into, I just said, just talk. It's just incredible. And how when someone's speaking, normally the question in my mind is, what word is coming next? With her, it's not just what word is coming next, it's what's the word going to sound like? Because it was so utterly unpredictable. I'd never heard this before. Anyway, she was...
Wait, but I just realized we didn't get your answer. What's your favorite children's character? Oh. You haven't watched the movies.
Oh, going all the way back. My favorite...
What's that? Because you just watched now. So now. Just be honest, Malcolm.
Well, I'll tell you, I'm getting annoyed.
No,
that's a good place to start.
This guy, I just wanted the character, and then he Gladwelled us.
No.
I just wanted the character.
I'm getting there.
Okay.
I'm getting there. I'm the whole blonde, blue-eyed Disney heroine thing, which I know is a cliche, is driving me crazy.
Okay.
It's really, really deeply annoying.
But
why are they all the fairest damsel in the land? Enough already. Why can't in the original Cinderella's just an ordinary girl. She's just a kind of, she's no different than anybody else, but she gets lucky. And then Disney comes along and insists that she has to be a bombshell. Why does she have to be Marilyn? Why does she have to be Marilyn Monroe? In the original fairy tale, it's way better. She's just an ordinary girl who has a fantastic thing happen to her. And so if you're a kid and you listen to Cinderella, you're like, oh my goodness, amazing things can happen to all of us.
Yes.
Disney comes along, makes her into Marilyn Monroe, and says, basically, unless you're drop dead gorgeous and have a heart of gold, it's not
happening for you.
Not happening for you. And if things don't happen for you, it's because you're not good looking enough and you've done some evil thing. So my daughter's sitting here, we're watching Cinderella, and I'm just thinking, oh my God, what can they let up already on Can someone even just have dark hair? Why does everyone have to be blonde? What crazy Germanic like Aryan fantasy is being worked out in Walt Disney's mind as he's doing this?
I mean, you just said it. Mm-hmm. That's hilarious. You're like, what is going on in Walt Disney's mind? This Aryan. Yeah, you just said it.
Anyway,
we know how Walt Disney felt. So, I mean, do you know what I mean?
There was that. No?
Yeah. I know nothing about Walt Disney.
About how anti-Semitic he was?
I did not know that.
Oh, damn. Oh, I thought like you would. Oh, yeah, Walt Disney, man, hella problematic.
Really?
Yeah.
Oh.
Tell us more, Trevor.
I had no idea. I assumed he was Jewish.
Why?
With the last name. I mean, in Hollywood at that era.
Disney?
You don't think that,
Did I not know that Disney's growing up?
Can I tell you? By the way,
Poland?
By the way, here's the craziest. This is my personal experience of my current. So I have to know where people are from.
Okay.
I have to. First question I always ask everyone is literally, I need to know where you're from. I need to know what your background is. I need to know what the languages you speak. I need to know that in order. It's just, I don't know if it's a bad or a good habit, but it just is an important one. It's important for me to know, did you grow up outside of Pretoria?
I grew up in Pretoria.
Or in Pretoria?
Yes.
That's important for me to know.
My grandfather's the one who came
And
into
you're Johannesburg.
Johannesburg.
Okay. Important for me to know. So I'm watching the Billy Joel documentary on HBO, and I don't know. I thought he was Italian. Is that crazy? I thought he was an Italian guy from Long Island. So I don't know if have you watched this documentary?
No, I
It's
haven't.
fantastic. So like we're 20 minutes in, and it's like, of course we were Jewish. I'm like, what? And I suddenly wake up. Wait, Billy Joel's Jewish? And then, so I'm like, oh my God, like this is like rocking my world. And my wife, who is half Jewish and from Long Island, and is like, Billy Joel was in her hometown. She worships Billy Joel. She plays like Uptown Girl for my 4-year-old constantly. So my wife is like, what? You didn't know he was Jewish? I was like, no, I thought he was Italian. Then it keeps going. And like in the second part, you learn that his family, his grandfather he comes from this high-born, sophisticated, intellectual German Jewish family. They were industrialists. They owned a big garment manufacturing plant in Nuremberg. The Nazis took it over, and the stripe, the striped pajamas that would wear in concentration camps. That the Nazis turned that plant into a plant that made those striped pajamas.
Ways.
So if you look on the label of the striped pajamas, it says Joel.
No ways.
Absolutely. And then, also
they
you
kept
realize
the name of the.
Yeah, of course they did.
That's
the
weird.
The label's already there, so.
They already had.
I know the Germans.
It's weird that they put labels on. I'm focusing on the wrong part. This is just like a weird.
But then you understand. So I always wondered, why did Billy Joel? Because there's a famous. You ever watch Inside the Actors Studio?
Yes.
Okay, so there's the one with him, which I saw years ago, is one of the greatest ones of all time.
Okay.
And you realize, because he would play all this classical music. You're like, he knows all this. I was like, so I was trying to compete. I thought he was like working class Italian from Long Island. How does he know Tchaikovsky from memory? Like, it didn't make any sense to me. But now, I was like, his father was a classically trained pianist. Because, of course, they come from this incredibly sophisticated family in Europe. Oh. I had totally located him in the wrong place. So for me, who loves to locate people, this is like so destabilizing. And then in the documentary, and this is the problem with the documentary. So my first thought is, okay, now that I know this fact, why isn't the whole person, and he has a falling out with his father. His father disappears. The whole documentary should be about his father. Mm-hmm. The whole thing is about, Billy Joel's whole life is kid of this insanely sophisticated intellectual German Jewish family who are Holocaust escapees, comes to Long Island and reinvents himself as like a Long Island street hood. But he can't pull off the reinvention, quote unquote, successfully because he's too sophisticated.
The minute he plays Tchaikovsky.
And too smart, and he plays Tchaikovsky. So that's the story. And his father disappears from the family. And what's he doing in his whole life? He's chasing this vanished father who represents the sophisticated side that he has kind of lost contact with, right? And there's a moment in the doc, and they only give you 30 seconds of it, which drove me crazy, where he finds his father years later, who's living in Vienna, and that song, Vienna Waits for You, it's about his father. It's about finding his father in Vienna. I didn't know that. No one told me that. I just thought he went to Vienna on holiday. No, it's about his father. So then, you know that song? Vienna waits for you. It's
If I hear it, I'll probably know it. I don't know any songs by their titles.
It's one of the most beautiful of all the Billy Joel songs. And I heard it as a kid, and I was like, I was, almost moved to tears by it. But I just thought he's random. I just thought he's an Italian kid dreaming about Vienna. No. His dad's living in Vienna. He discovers his dad in Vienna. He goes there, writes the song. And then they show you, he's at this concert, and they show him saying, Dad, if you'd come up and if you want to play. And then they cut to, they have two grand pianos pushed together, and Billy's on one and his dad's on the other.
Oh, wow.
And it's like, they gave us 10 seconds of this, they should have given us 45 minutes
we
of
need
this.
the Gladwell cut. That's what we need. We should actually just do this. You know what? I'm going to pitch you a business here. We just go in and we just Gladwell everything. So we Gladwell Disney movies, we Gladwell documentaries, because clearly there's the Gladwell cuts. And you basically go off on your own tangent.
The one that you would have loved to see.
I don't want to. It's not just the Gladwell cut. I think the three of us. This should be a business for the three of us. I think all of us should contribute to the reimagining of these flawed classics.
What, the Disney ones? Yeah, but here's But have you watched the newer ones?
Well, I've watched.
Because they have been reimagined.
We did.
I didn't want to spoil it for you because
we did Moana the other night.
Yeah,
but it gets really violent. I'm like,
that's what it's like. That's what it'd be like to be young, female, and black. When your friend is a chicken and one is a pig, and you're stuck with an older guy with a catamaran, and your gran is a ghost. And your grandfather ran away from your dad, and he's the spirit of the seas.
The chicken.
Eugene watches a lot of Moana.
Do you?
As you can tell.
One, yes.
How old?
My daughter's turning 17 this year.
Oh, 7. Yeah. Oh, you're away. You're years away from this.
What?
From Moana.
We watched it the other day.
Can you not tell? What do you mean? You're assuming that his daughter is the one who wants to watch it.
Oh, I see. Oh, yeah.
I was the one who was saying.
She has to put it on for him.
Make way.
Yeah, she's the one who's putting it on for him. I actually feel like, with the Disney movies, one of the issues I actually have is, and maybe this is like the Gladwell part of my brain, is I think Disney did a major disservice to an entire generation that has grown up on it because it gave us a false idea of how things turn out.
Yeah.
Happy endings?
But not just happy endings. It's like the way things turn out. Like, I'll talk to a lot of people who go, the world, I can't believe this. They can't believe Trump won. They can't believe this is still happening. Then I'm like, but why can you not believe it? And then for me, at least, I go, if you've grown up your whole life being told that the good guy always wins, that the damsel always gets saved, that then when you go out into life, you're like, don't worry, you just wait. Trump, you'll see what happens to him by the third act. You'll see what happens to him. It's only him. And then it's like, it's not a matter of time. Yeah. That's not actually how the world works. Yeah. Do you get what I'm saying? Yeah. And I think those movies are partially to blame for that. And I don't know if you would know this, maybe you know deep, but like a lot of them were based on stories that didn't have those endings. You do know that, right?
I know, they changed them.
Don and Walt.
No, but seriously, they were not happy endings. I think in one of them, is it Sleeping Beauty or Snow? She just dies.
She is actually dead.
She is dead?
Yeah, Sleeping Beauty. She is dead.
So they're just kissing a dead body.
The original Grimm Brothers
There's a word for that in the English language.
What is it? Okay, necrophilia.
Say it in one of your other 11 languages. Too.
How was this doom?
Oh, man. That's another one. The thought that I had about that? The thought I had about...
Sorry, I'm still recovering from the expressive... Do they all have... Was it you putting that on? Or is there something in that language that is more expressive and...
Well...
Because there's some languages that
half the language, but it's doom, Buddha.
There's definitely half in the language.
That's half in the language.
There definitely is. Like the name for flip-flops.
That's better. That is so much better.
Because it's the sound that they make when you walk.
So much better.
Yeah.
So much better.
Paka.
It's doom.
But that does sound like a dead body. If you think about it. Okay, imagine if you had a dead body and you dropped it on the ground. So, okay, I will hold the dead body. Yeah. You're going to say the word as I drop this dead body. You got it? God, oh man, this body's so heavy. Oh, goddamn dead body. Oh no, I dropped it.
Wait, what's the little translation of dumbu?
It's doom. It's a corpse.
Oh, I see.
Yes, but I'm saying, what sound does a dead body make when you drop it?
Exactly that.
Stumbu.
There should be an aggressive program to incorporate, like my mother uses this is a Jamaican word for, it's not quite it's a lovable rascal, but it's more than that. It's Jinnal.
Jinnal?
Oh. Jinnal.
Okay.
And she would, some of my fondest memories as a child are doing something that was clearly wrong. And my mother calling me a Jinnal. And what it meant was, what you did was wrong, but I
still love you.
I like that.
No, it's more that I love you. It's not that I forgive you and I love you. It's that I recognize that the core of that behavior is something I would like to keep alive and cherish.
Oh, yes. Wow.
Right? That's what deep. It is. The Jinnal is like, the Jinnal the Jinnal will save us if we're all imperiled and like the overlord is the Jinnal is the one who will, you know, it's the Anansi figure. It's the classic in sort of African folklore, the idea of the mischief maker who could save the day.
Yeah.
Right?
It is not inherently bad.
No.
But it causes so much mischief that we don't like it. But in a time of need, it will step up.
Exactly.
Okay.
That particular thing, that's just a lovely word. And I taught it to my daughter because she's a Jinnal. So she now uses
Which one?
The 4-year-old. She now uses Jinnal. It makes me so happy. She accused her mother of being a Jinnal. I was like, first of all, your mother's not a Jinnal. That's actually not what Kate is.
Oh man, causing chaos in the household. Oh man.
But like all those little folkisms, because my mother would have, who's turned 94 yesterday, would have learned that from. The nanny she would have had in the little tiny place in the middle of Jamaica in the 30s would have been who was an older woman, would have been probably the daughter or granddaughter of someone who might have been born in Africa. Because remember, West Indian slaves were because they all died off. They were constantly bringing in new ones. So you could actually be the granddaughter of someone who came from Africa. So that's an African term that just gets. Just enters straight into the Jamaican vernacular. So it's like, it's this hilarious thing that now the language of our household is echoing.
But that's beautiful, man.
It's really beautiful.
I always feel like we got to do that more.
Yeah, that's why my point. We need to, you guys should come up with 3 or 4 words which you just try really, really hard to introduce into the American vernacular that are better, that actually have some objective advantage.
Okay, we'll do that. That'll be our work.
That will be your work.
That'll be like our job. We'll work through it and we'll figure I'll make note when you say something and I'll be like, I think that's what we can get people saying.
You know when you're right. Actually, when I realized that he actually speaks more languages than he lets on, and actually we miss speaking the language. And I think people that have known him for longer over here don't know that he speaks the languages. Is when we drift off and we speak isiZulu or Xitsonga.
Yeah. We'll just switch into,
and then you just see everyone going.
No, but you know the weirdest thing.
He's from there. He's lying. He's from there. We found him.
And then Ice like shows up. It's like, oh, he's not an American.
Jinnal.
Oh man. Don't go anywhere because we got more What Now after this. All right, Eugene. Let's play a little game. Make something fun. 2 truths and a lie. Here we go. 1. I've had to tell a world leader that their fly was undone. 2, when getting dressed, I don't do sock, shoe. I do sock, shoe. 3, I've been a Verizon customer for 11 years. What do you think?
Very confused. First of all, why would a world leader own a fly? Because those things just come uninvited. Secondly, lying to your friends is not cool. There's never been a game.
No, Eugene, a fly is for, like, the zip is what... And then it's not a lie. It's a game where I'm trying. It's like I give you information. Okay, I lied. All 3 are true, Eugene. And in case you were thinking, Verizon isn't as expensive as you think. In fact, if you bring in your AT&T or T-Mobile bill, they'll give you a better deal. And the reason I've been with them for this long is just because I travel so much. I need a network that's reliable. That's right, a better deal on the best network with the most ways to save on plans, streaming, and phone deals. Take your AT&T or T-Mobile bill to your local Verizon store today, get your better deal, and start saving for real. Based on Root Metrics' best overall mobile network performance, US second half 2025. All rights reserved. You must provide recent consumer mobile bill in the name of the person redeeming the deal. Additional terms, conditions, and restrictions apply. So, do you understand how two truths, and do you understand it now?
I understand that you didn't have to lie first before telling me that Verizon is the best.
No, I wasn't lying. Eugene, it's not a lie. I wouldn't lie to you. It's a game. Okay, I'm sorry.
I lied.
Ah. Oh, that Jinnal thing. Do you think that is sort of what has informed how you write, how you think, because I've always felt like you're a mischievous reporter. Like you don't. Let me tell you what I mean by this. Like I've met many reporters in my lifetime, and like even like the old school ones, like from the Brokaw days. You know, like Tom Brokaw, like, and they have a let me tell you something. You know, when you're searching for a fact, you have to know where a fact starts and where it ends, and you search for the story, and there's something about it that you have to. And there's like oh, okay, I get this. And then there's journalists today. You are one of the most mischievous journalists I've ever met. And I think that's part of what I like about your thinking, your writing, your vibe. But do you think you kept that because of what your mom said?
Well, I think, first of all, thank you. But I think it's because it doesn't feel mischievous to me because my parents were the same way.
Oh,
they're both.
Okay.
My mother is still, just turned 94. She's in a nursing home in Canada, and she writes for the nursing home newsletter, and
that's amazing.
She sends them to me, and they're like really interesting, thoughtful. But like half the time, she's like, picking a fight with some, or doing some. I mean, it's really she's just in a very nice, respectful way. She's causing trouble still. She's a troublemaker. She's always been a little bit of a like there's something in her. And I think there's something. An immigrant is someone, which all of us at this table are immigrants. My mother was an immigrant three times over, or twice over. I think an immigrant has that impulse to, because they're willing to shake up their life, right? And so once you've made once you've made the most important of all decisions about shaking up your life, which is I am leaving family, friends, and culture, and going somewhere else, then everything else seems trivial in comparison, right? Like, you've done the hard thing. Like, what else? You've already thumbed your nose at what everyone else in your circle is doing. You've left, so like now you can. It's why are comics so often from, either immigrant groups or marginalized groups, because they've already done the big thing, right? So it's easy after that.
I wonder if it's augmented by whether or not you chose your immigration. Because when you were saying that, I was trying to think through, and I actually feel like there's almost two camps if we were going to make it binary. I think there are some immigrants who are the opposite of that. There are many immigrants who are like, no, I do not shake. There's no mischief. My only goal is to fully become this new world, because I don't necessarily have another choice.
Yeah.
You know what I mean?
Yeah.
But then I wonder if like you're more likely to keep that mischief when your choice was the thing.
Yeah.
Because if you shake up your world, you're mischievous. But if the world shakes up your life, then you don't necessarily have that same thing, I think. Does that make sense?
Mm-hmm. It does. Yeah.
Like I think there's some people where they go like, my parents came here because they wanted to da.
Yeah.
Those parents are generally more like shaking up the world. Then there's some people who go, yeah, man, my parents came here because they had to. Something happened. And I find sometimes, not always, but sometimes those people are like, listen, this is not my choice.
Yeah.
And so I don't want to be shaken up again. So I'm not going to be in a position where I can be shaken up.
Yeah, but there are ways that you always see how those groups that have migrated from somewhere that they loved and that they miss have always just rebelled a little bit in the way they cook food, or stealing off speaking the language inside their house and sometimes not losing their accents. Because my grandfather was big in not trying to lose his accent. He
Like
didn't want
actively
to.
trying.
Actively trying.
That's a funny thought.
Because even the friends that he kept, even well into his old age, were people that came from the same province as him, that spoke the same language. Then they would play cards together and insist on speaking the language and just sounding like they were back home when they were not. You know, so there is that little part. He would also make his own biltong. You know what biltong is? Like beef jerky.
Beef jerky, yeah.
Yeah, he would insist on it, which drove my grandmother crazy. He would just hold on to those two things because what he hated the most was the fact that when his parents died, right, he had to go live with his uncle.
Yeah.
So when he moved in with his uncle, he lived with him for a while, and then when it was time for him to get his ID card, he couldn't use his father's surname, which was Ngomane. So he had to use his uncle's surname, which was Khoza, which was my surname.
Oh, that's
now.
your surname, yeah.
Yes. And then all of his life, from when his first grandchild was born, he insisted that we call him Grandfather Ngomane.
So he wanted to hold on to the thing that
Language,
was
what his dad taught him how to make jerky, and also the language.
But you see, that's sort of what I'm saying.
Yeah.
If you think about it.
Yeah.
Because it was taken from him.
Twice.
He did not have the inclination to lose it or to shake it up.
Yes.
His inclination was hold on to it as much as possible. I want to keep that accent, that last name, that food.
Yes.
Because it was taken from him.
Yes.
But I feel like there's a mischievous luxury that comes with you being the creator of your little tornado. And it's just like, you know what I mean? It's just like...
Wait, I have something... Hearing you list Eugene talk reminds me of this thing I've been thinking about, which is that you've talked now on several occasions about your grandfather, right? So this is a two-part theory. Part one of the theory is all of us explain who we are but with some reference to our families, right? It's a common thing.
Yeah.
But I've noticed that when people do this, they always pick one. So you never hear someone say, rarely, I get this from my mom and this from my dad. What you get is when they're talking about something, they say, oh yeah, that comes from my father. And they talk father. And then you come back to them 5 years later and they're like, mom, and the dad's disappeared. You can't do both at the same time. No, you can't. So, and then part two of this series, so I thought of this for a while. And then, because I was noticing, this is the theory of asymmetrical parental attribution. You can only do one parent at a time.
Theory of asymmetrical parental attribution.
You can only do one parent at a time.
At a time.
But then I decided, no, don't like that theory anymore. And then I decided...
Well, you just decided randomly?
Yeah, I kicked the theory out of
let's go.
the theory box. And I've decided, I think the mistake we make, I don't think parents, this is coming back to it.
Right.
I don't think parents are the right place to make sense of someone. I think grandparents are. In other words, if I'd never met you, either of you before, and you sat down and I gave myself 10 minutes to get to the essence of you psychologically, and I had a choice. I could have you talk only about your parents, or I could have you talk only about your grandparents. My point is, the grandparents is a far more revelatory conversation because there's so much noise with your relationship with your parents. You're blind to it. It's complicated for all kinds of other reasons. There's siblings in the mix. You can't figure it all out. But if I get you to talk about your grandparents, there's a kind of purity in the way we see our grandparents. And when I think about I can locate myself way more easily in my grandparents than my parents. And I think of my kids, and I can locate them much more easily in my parents and my wife's parents than I can in us. And I think grandparents, because we've sort of gotten, this would have been 100 years ago.
Yeah.
This would have been commonplace because we were living with our grandparents and we had, but now it's like a harder thing to grasp because they're absent in a way they weren't before. But
Do you think perhaps maybe that's why they're called grand?
yeah, that's right. Yeah, they are grand. They're
like the ultimate of parents.
ultimate
They are
of,
the pinnacle of parents.
But I mean, I just loved that you were talking so much about your grandfather because it's rare that, not rare, but people don't spend enough time, I think, talking about that layer of their heritage.
I think mostly sometimes you're good. Have you thought of writing a book?
This is not a profound
in life,
theory.
As an author, you would kill.
This is just a random observation. But now I'm curious, you are so right. Does that make sense?
It makes 100% sense. you're right when you say it's the noise between yourself and the parents. And also, there's no one greater than your parents at the time that your parents are in your life.
Yeah.
So people who have enriching childhoods, which is what I had up until the age of 6, was when my grandparents were around.
Yeah.
Because it almost allowed me to see my parents as children as well.
Yeah.
Because they had someone older who could tell them, you don't do that, because disciplining was not a thing when my grandparents were around. I would get away with so much more. But then when my grandparents passed away, my parents almost had to step in to become the parents. And they became the villains of the story. Don't do this, don't do that.
Yeah.
And also you miss the person that let you get away with so much more. And I had to pick in my memory the parts that I remember the most, sitting under the table. My grandfather used to be like, you're going to end up on TV one day. And I was like, why? Because when I was 5 or 6, we got our first television set. The news would play in English and he would say, watch what my grandson is going to do. Then he'd say, tell us what they said there. Then I would just listen, and I'd be like...
Wait, would you say it back in English?
Yeah.
Or would you
I
say
said back in Tonga.
So you would translate it?
Yes.
You see? This is what you see? I didn't even know that, but there you go.
Then he said, you are going to end up on television one day. And my mom held on to that forever and ever and ever. She used to say it over and over again, and it happened. So I remember those little moments, and I'm like...
So what's interesting is not only do you see your grandparents more clearly than your parents, but your grandparents maybe saw you more clearly than your parents did. They also, because it goes in both directions, because they don't have the clutter either. Your parents, there's so much now that I'm a parent.
Whoa. You can't just Gladwell us and gloss through that.
There's so much clutter. When I look at even my own kids, there's so much in the way of seeing them clearly. There's so much crap you bring to that relationship with your kids, like that is irrelevant to who they are. You're so intent on turning them into versions of yourself that you forget they're not, never will be. But the grandparent is free of that. They get to see the kid for who they are, right? I remember that. I didn't know my grandparents all died before I was, and they were always living in other countries. Mm-hmm. But I always felt that there was a kind of clarity in the way they saw me. It was like an uncomplicated.
Is there a part of you that wishes you had your kids sooner in life so that they could have had 100%.
That? I mean, it's the biggest mistake.
Really?
I was waiting so long. But on the other hand, I'm chiller than I would have been. I find parenting to be completely unstressful. I think it's because I'm older. I find it hilarious. When they act up, I find it, and I also let them do whatever they want. But,
so in a way, you are the grandparent.
I am the permissive grandparent. There's no question about that. Yeah.
That is amazing.
And, maybe that has consequences. Who knows? I won't be around for them. I'm kidding.
Wait, so who is your favorite kid's character?
I thought you were going to say who's your favorite kid. I was like, oh my God, what?
No, I wouldn't do
How
that.
dare you?
I wouldn't
Not
do that.
Louis.
You can't know this soon. You'll know, but not this soon.
Have you decided yet?
I'm struggling with this one. I don't.
That's what I'm saying. Don't think. Just there's got to be one that makes you happy inside because you've watched them. You've watched Peppa Pig. You've watched.
It's Peppa
Louis.
Pig's grandfather. Is hilarious to me because
Peppa Pig has a grandfather.
Yeah.
Oh, I didn't know that.
He's so funny because he's just like he is so. There's a certain kind of. That's my father's family. I feel like there were 100 people like Peppa Pig's father and Peppa Pig's grandfather. It is just like takes me back to going to England as a kid and like they're all that way. And they have that, they capture that really beautiful thing about kind of the way the English speak, which is they love being vague about everything. I'll just have a spot of tea.
Yes.
Right? What's a spot? No, we're not going to, it's not a cup. They're not specifying anything. And everything is like in this kind of vague, like euphemistic language. That's what I listened to as a kid. And I just love it. I just think it's fantastic.
When you hear that, it just like takes you back to that.
Takes me back. My dad would do that. My dad was incredibly, delightfully inarticulate. Just couldn't.
Inarticulate.
Like, which is why I was so obsessed with expressing myself because I've said this so many times. If you live with a father who is completely inarticulate, what do? I spend my entire time as he's speaking, as a kid, like rewriting the words in my head. No, don't say that. What you mean is this. You should say this. Like, come on, out with it. What you meant, what you're looking for is this. This is what's going on in my head as a kid when I'm listening to him. And he's an incredibly smart man, but just like not interested in mastering, tell a joke and would the first time he took my mother on a date, they go to some big, student thing at University College in London, and he stands up to tell a joke, and he forgets the punchline. And my mother, this is the first date. My mother's sitting there. She's like, what just happened? This guy takes me out. This white guy, first of all, this white guy takes me out. And by the way, my mother's a twin, and her twin.
Identical twin.
Went to the same UCL a year before. And my father asked my mother's sister out, who turned him down, but said, my sister is coming.
That is hilarious.
So you imagine the psychological kind of circumstances of my mother. Yes. So not only is she like, I think he might prefer my twin, A, and B, he's just made a fool of himself in front of like 100 of his. Anyway, they were happily married for
how many years?
50, whatever, 60 years.
That's beautiful.
Was it weird having a mom who has a twin? I could imagine the mischief that Jinnal would get up to.
What? But why do you think that?
Because I would have someone who looks like my mom but doesn't behave like my mom. You know how many times I'd wish my mom had a twin Jane life, or my aunt would come over and rescue me.
Well, you gonna like use your mom for shenanigans, like your mom's sister for shenanigans?
Let's not use moms.
You were going
my mom
to.
we're talking
you're
about.
Going to.
Why we use?
It's not that generation that's interesting. It's the next generation. So your mom's twin sister's children are your half siblings genetically.
Yes.
So that's interesting.
Oh, geez.
Right?
Oh, I've never thought of that actually.
We share the same mom.
Mm-hmm. Oh,
so
geez.
All of they're first cousins who are actually half siblings. And it's just really interesting. There's a kind of comfort level that you would have with a sibling, but it's a first cousin.
But how different was your mom from your aunt?
My mom is...
Or your aunt.
Well,
is that how you guys say it here?
They looked exactly the same to the point where... And they did that thing. My aunt was living in Jamaica, my mom in Canada, and they would independently, and without telling each other, wear the same clothes, change their hairstyles.
We were talking about this the other day. This is so wild.
Freaky twin thing that happens. So they always looked identical. So I would mistake them.
You yourself.
And then we would go to Jamaica to visit, and my mother would drive around with my father, and everyone in the little town would think that my aunt was stepping out with a strange white man.
Oh, man. Shenanigans.
Who was inarticulate and who couldn't find the punchline. You was like, that's him.
Wearing a suit and tie, like, an English guy with a big beard. And then...
Explain yourself. And he's like, well, it appears there's quite an unfortunate coming together of stories that might confuse two people, or groups, rather, who think that you're dead.
No, it's lovely. But the other flip side of it is that my mom's twin sister marries a Jamaican guy, but who is basically my father. So
No ways.
They're not.
I've heard of that happening.
He's not a mathematician.
Jamaican version of your English dad.
They find, which makes sense. They're the same person.
Yeah.
So they find, they're exact. In fact, my father and my uncle knew each other before, and my uncle was successfully pursued my aunt. But they looked the same. They had the same interests. The whole thing is just uncanny.
In the Xhosa culture, if there's a twin, one must lose part of their pinky so people can identify them easily.
God damn.
Yeah, they must cut part of their pinky.
The brutal version.
But there are other cultures, I'm not sure which one it is in South Africa, where if you marry one twin, you have to marry the other.
Whoa.
Because chances of the other one being happy without the other are very low, unless they meet someone who's like you.
Yeah.
So you have to do polygamy in that way to keep them together and to keep the other one from making another man miserable. So the fact that your aunt married someone similar to your dad and your dad almost dated her first
is the only reason she has her pinky. Don't press anything. We've got more What Now after this. You know the thing you're talking about like us taking the articulate thing with your dad. I've always wondered. I've always wanted to learn, or I've tried to learn about like astrophysics, and it's so complicated, and math throws me. It's too much for my brain. But I like to try and learn about it. And one of the more interesting ideas for me is entropy, right? The idea that everything energy-wise is always trying to get to a state of sort of like middle is the best way to describe it in my brain. And when you say that, I always wonder if that's all we're doing as like species and humans, and is people don't realize that their kids are supposed to sort of like balance them out. So if you are loud and crazy, there's a good chance your kid might be like really quiet, especially if you have like one kid. They might be like really quiet and timid.
Yeah.
And then if you are inarticulate, your kid is going to be extremely precise and good and a wordsmith. And do you know, I even wondered that with, I wondered if COVID was the ultimate natural experiment, which I know you love, by the way, just natural experiments.
Dude, not COVID.
What do you mean? No, not COVID.
Oh, yeah,
no,
I was
natural
about to
experiments.
say, I was like,
No,
not
because what COVID did, in some ways, COVID showed us that the human experiment has been successful in that one thing could not wipe us all out.
Yes.
Some people died very quickly. Some people didn't even get a sniff. And we don't really know why. You know, there's obviously things, people like comorbidities and weight and age. Yeah, but once you remove that, there's some instances where people they were just gone. And then others on the opposite end of the spectrum, and then the middle people got sick and whatever. And I was thinking about that going, it's like this fascinating, beautiful sort of like hedging of our bets that we do as a species.
Yeah.
Where you're supposed to be a little bit different, try this version, try that version. And then if you have multiple kids, they must all try a different version, so that the species has the best chance of surviving.
Yeah.
Do you know what I mean? Like I've always wondered that as like a...
It's it's one of the great puzzles in psychology, was trying to figure out, and it goes exactly to your point, why are siblings so different? Because they shouldn't be different.
Yeah.
They have same parents, same genes, same home environment, but they're like wildly different, right? And that is because, the impulse is to differentiate, not to, is to take the exact same experience and interpret it in radically different ways. And I see it already with my two daughters. Like the younger one is fashioning from exactly the same environment, is fashioning a completely different experience for herself.
Yeah.
It's nature versus nurture.
Yeah, but even beyond that, it's a safety mechanism. One of the rabbit holes I've been going deeper and deeper into over the past few years has been like monopolies and consolidation. I'm obsessed by it, and I'm obsessed by it because we were never really taught about the effects. Like most people in society, if you go monopolies, they'll be like, I guess it's bad because we're told it's bad. But for most of us, if you say like, why is it bad? We don't really know like why. Someone might be like, oh, prices and whatever. One of the best examples of why it's bad sort of ties into this is in America and in many parts of the world now, if one species of chicken gets sick, they could all go.
Monocultures, yeah.
Yeah, exactly. Yeah. Like there's one family in Germany, I think, or something that owns, I think it's a type of egg, but it's basically the egg, if that makes sense. And if something goes wrong with that egg, or if there's a disease that affects that strain of chicken and that species, it's gone.
Yeah,
but it's gone.
This is the story in my last book. I told that story about the cheetahs. The cheetahs, there was an extinction event for cheetahs, like 1,000 years ago. And we think that the cheetah population of the world might have got down to one.
What?
It might have been one pregnant mother who survived. And that's why every cheetah today is genetically identical, which is why cheetahs have such incredible disease. Yeah,
they're struggling. Even now.
They're prone to disease.
Yeah.
Oh my God, they're so prone to disease. In fact, really, really hard to keep cheetahs alive in captivity because even minor infections there's certain kinds of minor infections which that particular cheetah type just happens to be susceptible to. And so they're all susceptible to it. So there's a kind of coronavirus that normally animals shrug off, but it's fatal to cheetahs. And then we had a huge problem a couple of years ago with but in the wild too, cheetahs are like, they're sickly and it's because they're all the same and their sperm is degraded. It's just cousins mating with cousins over and over and over and over and over and over again. They're so identical, like that you can do, when you do a skin graft, the reason they figured this out was they were puzzled by why cheetahs were getting so sick in zoos. And so they did a simple skin graft where they took two cheetahs, different cheetahs, and they just took skin from one and grafted onto the other. And under normal circumstances, the graft would be rejected.
Oh, rejected.
because it's different. Like you can't slap on a graft.
Someone's.
You have to give them all kinds of immunosuppressive drugs.
Right.
No problem. The other cheetah just accepted the graft, and they realized, oh my God, they're twins. And it's like they're all twins, cheetahs.
It's just one family,
it's
and
one,
that's it.
It's just
It's
one
one
big
big-
cheetah family. But those are, and I use that in that book because I was writing about this community, this little wealthy town, which is known as Poplar Grove. I don't give its real name. That had a suicide epidemic at the high school, local high school, that went on for years, a very serious one. And my argument, the argument in the book and the argument of the researchers who studied it was that the problem was that the community had become a monoculture. The kids were all the same. They're all pursuing the same goals. They all wanted to go to Ivy League schools, be attractive, play sports, work really hard, win their parents' approval. And that's not normal for adolescents.
Yeah.
In a normal high school, there's 10 different social groups, each of which have different goals. And if you fail at one group, you just slide into another. There's always a home for you, right?
Yeah.
And if you didn't, in this high school, if you didn't fit this perfect model, the one perfect model, then you were considered to be a failure, right? And that's how the suicide epidemic got started. All these kids
They just eliminate themselves because they didn't fit into the
thinking that
to
there
the
was
general
no point.
population.
I can't live up to this standard, right? So in the pursuit of excellence, and everyone would agree, this is one of the greatest high schools, public high schools in America, one of the loveliest places to live in America. There was this disaster because they forgot how incredibly important this kind of diversity that you're talking about is to successfully functioning societies. You can't have, especially teenagers, you can't put a teenager into a system where there's only one model of success.
I think we're experiencing that with everything. And it's so one of the, sometimes in life you'll have an experience that isn't necessarily special, but it has an outsized effect on you. One of those was a trip that I took, was my first time ever going to Paris. It was like a few years ago. It's pretty late in life if you can travel. And I went to Paris and it was this whole thing. And what I found most interesting about France's history was how they imperfectly, but still in a really beautiful way, sought to encourage the idea of the difference. Like, and what the reason it stuck with me is because it was like art. They were like, if you're an artist, you have a purpose. The French government would pay you to just make art. Just make it. Good or not good, we'll decide later. Your job is to make art. And then the government will buy it, and then we'll go from there. Sculptures, you name it. Sometimes it was music. Sometimes, and what I kept thinking was, what is going to happen to our society if we allow it to get to a place where the only way we measure success is one metric? Yeah. What is going to happen to our society when every kid wants to be the same thing because the only way we measure success is through money or through a certain type of power? And so no one wants to be a teacher, no one wants to be a nurse, no one wants to be. Do you know what I mean? Like, what happens when that becomes a homogenous society? Does it mean we then lose our edge? Like when we're all the surgeon, or when we're all the accountant, or when we're like, what happens to us? That's what and when you put it that way, I go like, oh yeah, we lose our edge. Yeah.
No, I mean there are still. I mean, thankfully there are professions. I do this thing as part of my kind of job where. I find people who I think are interesting and I just interview them sometimes for 20, 30 hours until I find the story. I did this last summer with this incredible woman. I'm doing it right now with this this Canadian anesthesiologist from Atlanta who is the most, I love this guy so much. He looks like he's so handsome, first of all. And I realize that's not relevant, but it is kind of relevant. And we
don't judge.
He is so articulate that sometimes I'm listening to him and I'm just like, I can't improve on this. This is, because I'm used to having the voice in the head from my dad. Yeah. And he just expresses himself so beautifully and it's just everything. I mean, it's perfection. In another era, he would be a famous rabbi or he's a doctor. He's an intensive care specialist. And he describes his And what I'm really interested in is just, I want to know what his life is like. What is it like? He goes into intensive care for shifts of 7 days, where he's on, basically. And it's the most, intensive care is the hardest and most intellectually demanding, he says. And I think I agree with him, of the medical specialties. Yeah. And you have someone who is in real trouble, and you are locked in for your 7-day stretch with that person. And the reason I'm saying this also, his metric of success is incredibly specific and is outside all these. I know, I'm sure he cares about money like all of us, but like, if he wanted to make money, this is a dude who could have made 10x on Wall Street, right? He could have been famous, I'm quite sure, if he wanted. He's never going to be famous. He's a doctor at a research hospital in Atlanta. Like, the thing that he uses to judge his contribution to society is the degree of kind of intellectual and physical effort he puts into keeping someone alive during his 7 days on, right? And as long as there are professions like that allow people to have their own very specific definition of success, we're okay.
As long as they exist.
Will they always exist? But there are these little pockets where, you know, I'm about to say something incredibly morbid, which is
Dumbo.
Because yes. Wait, how do you say that word again? Dumbo.
So STU feels like a
I see.
Stum.
Okay.
Imagine like a drum, like a big drum being stum.
One more time.
Yeah, and then the drum releases stumbu.
Oh, Sedumbu.
Ah, there you go.
Okay, all right. Okay, Sedumbu. So my mother's 94, and I've been thinking, because I can't help myself, I've been thinking about her obituary.
Right.
She's a long way from dying, knock on wood. But she talks about, you know, so she was talking about what she wanted to be cremated. I was like, why are you doing this? Anyway, so I was thinking, what would I say? Many, many, many people will come to my mom's funeral. So what would I say? Because it's going to, you know, I'm going to have to. And one of the things I want to say about her and her life is that she's someone who lived a small life, meaning that she could have lived a big life. She could have been famous. She could have made a lot of money. She's a brilliant, driven, ambitious, you know, woman. She chose instead to define her life much like that doctor I was talking about. She's someone who, her whole life is a series of relationships in which she has taken care of people or been important to people for decades. And there are now, you know, countless people who have been in contact with my mother in an intimate way, going back 50, 60 years. I remember as a kid, there would be people coming into our living room who I'd never seen before, just to sit with my mother and share, and I would listen to these conversations, very personal things about the things. That's her life. It's the way she chose. And she chose to live a small life. And the idea of valorizing the small life is, I think, really important. And a society that loses sight of in many ways, the contribution of the people who live small lives is greater than the contribution of people who live big lives. Society doesn't work without like that layer, right? So that's what I've been thinking about. That's what I would like to say. Is by choice she lived a small life, and it was she's not dead. It's horrible. Why am I doing this? But that's what I would like to say. That's about her. That's her legacy, I think, and it's a really beautiful one. And it's not done. She's still doing that thing, only in a nursing home in rural Ontario.
I think what you speak about is what a lot of people crave now, the simplicity of life as well.
Yeah.
You know, sometimes we're like, no, we want it organic. You know, I want that rural small farmer that makes those, you know, if it's not in season, then I will not have it. I think ultimately inside, with all the conveniences that we have now and all the abundance that we have now, we still crave to forage. We want to go and find out. We want to sit for 30 hours with a human being and just hear what they have to say and go through the weeds until we find the treasure, you know? And I find that with great friendships, that's what friendships are about. We're having this conversation about how to approach anything, whether it's an episode or comedy. And we're saying that if you're not willing to go and whack the weeds until you found that Garden of Eden, then you've just lost what he likes to call the friction of life.
Yeah.
It's the small. I like the poetry that you've expressed it with.
Me?
Because Malcolm.
Oh.
Yeah. No. Yours as well.
Yours as well.
Yours as well, definitely. But I mean in talking about your mom specifically, because like there's a beautiful to go back to football. Sorry, Eugene.
No.
But to go back to football, one of my favorite things about Liverpool is how many opposing players and teams will say, man, you don't want to play at Anfield. And they don't just mean you don't want to play the away game. They often refer to the fact that the fans are a 12th player on the field. And Mikel Arteta, the coach of Arsenal, who used to be, he's one of the best players who's played the game, talks about his playing days. And they asked him about where to play and what was tough. And he has the story where he recounts how tough going to Anfield was. And what made Mikel Arteta brilliant was that he could see the whole game. He could always see where players were. He was that kind of player. He's the point guard in that way. And he says when he went to Anfield, the fans would start singing, the fans would start chanting, and he says you would lose your teammates.
Oh, yes.
He said you would just lose them. You'd be like, I'm alone. He'd be like, wait, where's everyone?
Yeah.
And in that, what I think that's another thing that I loved about Liverpool, and I think a lot of football fans will have this with their teams generally, if it's a great team and great fans, is there's a beautiful synergy between the big and the small. Every football player, every basketball player, doesn't matter what athlete they are, they will tell you that when they had to perform their sport with nobody around, there wasn't a thing.
Yeah.
Yeah, you could hit the ball. Yeah, you could shoot. Yeah, you could jump. It wasn't the same. But the little people, they were doing the biggest thing. It's just that we sometimes don't see it that way because of how we aim the lens. Does that make sense?
Yes, yes.
Like the fans are making, to your point, English football, one of the reasons I think it is the biggest of the leagues in the world, the biggest, is because of the fans. It's because of what they make it. It's because of what there's people playing football all around the world. There's people kicking that soccer ball, doing their thing. But that little, and that's what I mean by the valuing. I love that you said that because not to be ominous about it, but I just worry that we'll get to a place where there is no valuing. There is no, I do think of as a child, I love how many fights kids used to have in my school when we're talking about what do you want to be? Lots of fights. What do you want to be? I want to be this. I'm going to be I'm going to drive a fire. There was this idea that society had that all of these avenues can provide you with a value that is valorous in its pursuit. And then now, and it's not the kids' fault, but a lot of the kids, you go, what do you want to be? And they'll be like, famous.
Rich.
Yeah. And I'm like, what are we showing them and teaching them? Because rich and famous is a byproduct of doing a thing well, I often think. But they aren't aiming for that oftentimes. They'll go famous, rich, whatnot. And then a person who's in that position has to be like, oh, but what of that do you want? What of that are you looking for? What of that? You know what I mean? Yeah. And so I would love to know, with your girls, do you have a preconceived notion? How do you think you're going to do it? Are you already going, oh, I hope they would be this or not? Or are you seeing things in them because I'm sure you can't resist it, but is there something where you go?
With my girls, I'm doing the thing that I swore I would not, which is that I'm obsessed with how well they'll do at sports and will they be good runners. And so I spent a lot of time scrutinizing their running form. And I've decided my little one, who is super focused, and who, by the way, is ripped. I mean, it's a horrible thing to say about a 2-year-old, but I'm sorry, she is ripped.
She's built for this.
Oh my God, I've never seen a child like this. She looks like and she loves lifting heavy things, and she's super kind of disciplined. And we took her to the track, and she got in her lane and ran 200 meters in her lane at 2, and stayed there was lane discipline, and she ran the curve hard and eased up on the straight. I mean, it was
instinctually.
It was the single greatest moment of my brief parenthood career. So that's all I care about. Do they, because if you're running, you want to be a 4-foot striker. You should land on the front of your foot.
Yes, so you can.
So I've been looking very closely to make sure whether they're natural 4-foot strikers they are, and I'm trying to make sense of, are they quarter milers, half milers, or distance? That's an important thing because I got to focus. And I'm terrified they're going to be good at the sports I don't want them to play.
Like pickleball.
Tennis. Well, tennis. I don't want the time suck sports. This is the big mistake one makes. Swimming, tennis, gymnastics, any of these things that require tons of travel and like 6-hour practices.
Okay.
No, you destroy their childhood.
Yeah.
All right.
Why are you doing that? Soccer, fine. I'd accept soccer because I think it would be fun to play. But track's perfect. It's just ideal. It's like 1 hour a day. It's like fun hanging out with other
runners.
That's what I want for them. So that's all I do is I think about their running form, really.
I love that you admit it. You're like, I turned into what I promised.
I've become everything I once
I have
despised.
become everything. Actually, this is something I wanted to ask you. So the podcast thing that you did, talking about like trans women in sports.
Oh, God. Oh, my God.
Yes. Oh, God. You should put your hand on your head.
How ripped were they?
Because, talk me through this a little bit. Because I like you as a person. I love your writing, and I know you, I think I know you as like let me call you the artist, separate from like the human. Yeah. But when I was watching this, I even said to Eugene, I was like, this is like the least Gladwellian way to handle a situation. I was just like, and then I was like, do you think like this now because you have daughters? Do you think it shaped you? Explain to me what happened there. Did people get something wrong? Tell me what happened there.
5 years ago, there was there's a sports conference that happens every year.
Yeah.
A sports analytics conference. They were going to have a panel on trans participation in sports. And they said, do you want to be the moderator of the panel? Now, right there, any intelligent person would have said, of course not. There's zero upside to moderating
this
a
is
panel.
a landmine.
It's a landmine.
Yeah.
What does Malcolm say? Yeah, sure. So I'm the moderator of the panel. And there's a guy named South African, Ross Tucker, is the sports scientist who believes very strongly that trans women should not participate in the female category. And there are two, Joanna Harper and another, people who are arguing the opposite side. I'm the moderator. And they tell me beforehand, do not get us in trouble, whatever you do. Just like get through this. I was like, all right, I'll get through this. So I sit there and the audience is like split in half, half or one. So whenever one side says something, they go, roar. The other side says something, they go, roar. It's just a minefield. I'm sitting there like, what did I get myself into? So there's a moment in this conversation when Joanna Harper, one of the pro-participation people, says something which would have been, when you're interviewing someone and there are moments when someone says something which is an opportunity to jump in and like, it gets to the heart of the matter.
Yeah, okay.
She said something that got to the heart of the matter. And my instinct as a journalist was to say, oh, this is the moment. This is what and I was like, nah, I'm not going to say it. It's too complicated. The crowd's nuts. I sit on my hands. Nothing happens.
Do you remember what she said?
Yes. She said to Ross Tucker, Ross, you have to let us win. And what she meant was, she was conceding the point that trans women have a genetic advantage over biological women. Trans women have a genetic advantage over biological women. But what she was saying was, that's not the issue here. The issue is, it's a broader symbolic thing for trans rights.
Okay.
And it crystallized the whole argument because it was why the argument can't be won. Because they're both after different things. One side are people who are trying to protect the purity of women's sport, as they would say. And the other side is someone who's trying to make a human rights argument about a disadvantaged group. It's two arguments. They're never, ever going to meet. And in that moment when she said that, it crystallized why this was an impossible problem to resolve. My inclination in that moment was to say, oh, I could have jumped on that. I could have used this to explain the fact that this is an irresolvable argument. I don't say anything. Fast forward 4 years, Ross Tucker, who has, out of his place in Johannesburg, has this podcast, which is listened to by a very, very small number of people. It's it's my favorite podcast, super fascinating, nerdy podcast about the science of sport. Lots of rugby talk, lots of, he did a whole episode once on shoes, which was amazing. So I'm on Ross's thing, and I say we spend 45 seconds reminiscing about this panel. And I say to Ross, that moment, I really should have. I regret not. That would have been an incredible moment to jump in. And then we go on and talk about other things. And then I wake up and I'm like, I don't know what happened. They did 5 minutes on me on Sean Hannity.
Oh, you were everywhere.
I was everywhere.
No, you were everywhere.
I had no idea what happened. I was like, what's going on here?
Yeah, no, you were everywhere.
J.K. Rowling, tweets at one point, oh my goodness. And I was just paralyzed. I was like, nothing. I was reading all the stuff that was saying I said stuff that I didn't say. People were going nuts about it. And I was like, oh, Jesus. So I just shut up. And
every time I see that happen, there's like a thing inside me that does because there's a specific knowledge you have about how these situations unfold if you've been a part of it.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? I've experienced this before, where literally I've woken up and half of the world has an opinion of me. Then I'm like, wait, what did I say? And then it expands beyond what you've ever said or what you've ever done. Yeah. And by the time, and it's that old Churchill quote, right? That a lie is halfway around the world before the truth has a chance to put its pants on.
Yeah.
Helpless is a perfect world because you just sit there going wait, what? No. And it expands and it goes and it goes and it grows and it grows and it grows and it grows. And then now people are using it to say, people who are very anti-trans are you see?
He agrees.
Gladwell agrees. And not only does he agree, he shows you that he's terrified of telling the truth. And I was like, Malcolm Gladwell is not terrified of telling the truth.
That's the moderator on a panel. I mean, and they were under strict instructions not to ruffle any feathers. And then didn't think, I was on Ross Tucker's, I didn't think anyone would listen to Ross Tucker's podcast other than people who were good for Ross. I mean, I love Ross. I think he's brilliant. And I've been following him for years. But I didn't think it would be, who thought that podcasts recorded in Johannesburg or Cape Town? By the way, this is Johannesburg, Cape Town. Can I just pause on this for a moment? Just subtly change the subject. There's this thing that always irks me, which is Sao Paulo, Rio.
Yes.
Right? Sydney, Melbourne.
Yes.
Johannesburg, Cape Town.
Yeah.
In all these instances, people have this urge to say, Melbourne is New York and Sydney's LA. Sao Paulo is LA. And
Sao Paulo is New York.
Yeah, Rio is LA. Sao Paulo is New York. Or Johannesburg is New York and Cape Town is LA. Mm-hmm. Cape Town is not LA. The only thing that LA has in common with Cape Town is there's a beach and a lot of rich white people. That's it. The urge to make everything about that's New York and that's that just drives me to distraction. Is there no other way we can describe these places but
I think is the word a heuristic? Is that what it is? It's just like a shortcut that people are using.
It's not even, they're only useful. Heuristics are useful when they actually have some basis in reality. In what universe would you go to Johannesburg and say, this feels like New York to me?
No, I'll tell you how.
Okay,
I'll tell you how. I will. Don't you dare join in with him. I'll tell you how.
What?
I'll tell you how. So, I think what people mean by that is that the vibe and the energy of the cities are generally defined in one way versus another way. So, okay, I'll give you an example. So, Johannesburg, New York, Sao Paulo, etc. Those are like the hubs of business. That's where the people consider life to be fast. Yeah. That's where there is no lounging about. That's where there is no chilling. That's where you know what I mean? There's this idea of you come here, you do business, you get things going, you keep it moving, you got it. Rio, Cape Town, LA, tranquilo, you know what I mean? It's like there's a feeling of like beach vibes and chilling. No, but it's all in relation to the other.
Oh, I see.
And by the way, you're not crazy for thinking this, because I feel like that whenever people would say, it would always irk me when they would go like, it's the size of 20 elephants. Then I was like, hey man, stop doing this.
But Americans love this, the size of 5 football fields.
Yeah, but
I'm like, who's
yeah, but I'm like, hey man.
Who's out here?
So in that regard, I'm just like, I don't get why you use, but I do understand why people do it, because those cities, let's put it this way.
Yeah.
If you loved LA and you were leaving it, you had to leave.
Yeah.
And you were going to go live in Johannesburg or Cape Town, and you loved everything about LA. you would be better off betting on Cape Town.
You love Malibu.
and
you love
if
the
you
beach.
love Rio, you would be better off betting on. And if you loved Sydney, that's all I think it is. Even if it's 51-49.
Yeah.
No. You would there's just a bet. You would have a better chance of.
But this is, I will just say that this is a case where the heuristic gets in the way.
Effect.
I like I said, I like heuristics when they help us
Cool.
get over the hump and sort of, all right, then we can go from there. But sometimes they block us and they get in the way.
Yeah.
And I feel like this is getting in the way. And like,
What do you think it's getting in the way of?
it's getting in the way of appreciating another culture for what it really is. So, and as opposed to saying, what's offensive to me about this with Johannesburg and Cape Town, for example, so because you guys know these cities very well, is like, these are the people who use this heuristic don't know anything about this. And I think in expressing that heuristic are creating an obstacle to learning more.
Okay.
Right? It's like, oh, it's just New York, is a way of saying, okay, I've satisfied so I can go, I'll see a couple sites and I'll leave. As opposed to really like thinking
Johannesburg.
in a complicated and interesting way about this is a city unlike any other, all these cities are unlike themselves fundamentally. And the biggest obstacle is outsiders coming in and pretending they have an understanding of something that they have no understanding of. That's what I object to. Like, I don't pretend to understand Cape Town. I went there once. All I know is it's insane real estate, right?
Yes,
and
it is.
and a nice beach. And that hill that you walk up and down.
And that hill that you walk up and down. But one thing I don't want to let go of, because I think you said something that's nuanced, difficult, and in my opinion, very important. You said something about the conversation that was happening on that stage when people were talking about trans women and sports. And I think it's something that people don't like to acknowledge in many conversations that we have in society. It's that people are on two different train tracks acting like they're fighting about the same thing, but they're not actually.
Yeah.
Because the way you framed it there, I was like, yeah, people are arguing across each other. And so you can never reach a conclusion if you're not arguing.
It is impossible.
But you're not arguing the same thing.
It's
at all.
irresolvable. It's irresolvable. It's like there's two competing values and you have to pick which one in this moment you think is more important. And if you're going to pick one, then I think you have to accommodate the interests of the other side.
Right.
In other words, if you're someone who thinks that trans women should not participate in the female category, you have to go out of your way to be an advocate for all other aspects of the trans agenda.
Yes.
That's your obligation. You have to be able to say, okay, I know that this is something that means a lot to you. I'm not going to back you on this, but I promise you I'll back you on everything else. And the flip side is also true. I think that if you are someone who wants that kind of participation, you have to go out of your way to acknowledge the importance that you're basically saying to people who care a lot about sports, and women's sports in particular, that I'm asking you to give up something here. And I will bend over backwards to make that sacrifice easier for you. There has to be that accommodation. And like I said, my position on this is I acknowledge both sides. It's really hard. I happen to be a huge track and field fan. So it's really hard for me to make the sacrifice of giving up the female category in that same way. But I also understand that that's a problematic position to hold, particularly for a group that is imperiled. And so, my answer is, for the moment, because I also acknowledge that my mind might change, right? I was writing about Caster Semenya 10 years ago, and I had a different position than I had now.
How did it change?
The science of people at that moment did not understand the degree to which this is a technical question. She's not trans, she's DSD, so she was intersex. The question was, if you suppress the testosterone of someone in that condition, do you level the playing field with biological women? There was a belief back then that you could level the playing field. Now the science seems to be that there's still a considerable historical advantage.
Yeah.
So it's more complicated, right? But all that side it's super complicated. All you can say is, if you're going to pick one side, you have to accommodate the other.
I think for me, where it lies is, I often find that we're stuck in these situations and these conversations because we allow ourselves to suffer from a lack of imagination.
Mm-hmm.
And the reason I say that is because we act like what is always was and will always be.
Yeah.
Okay?
Yeah.
So I look at people now arguing hard, the women's sports, and I go, if I was to rewind time and go back decades and decades and decades, I would argue that those same people would be the ones going, women can't do sports. Women can't, and we would see that. Do you know what I mean? There was a time when women were stopped from getting into sport. Like people were like, no, a woman can't box, a woman can't run, a woman can't, no. What do you mean women's sports? Women's public bathrooms. That was the one that like blew my mind the most. Was in America, people used to fight against women using a public toilet. They were like, no, you go, what are you doing? That's for the men. You go home. What are you doing?
Was that to stop them from not going too far?
No, it was just like this idea of like, it just didn't make sense because of the way things were.
Got it.
Same thing with black people. There was a time when people were like, so you're saying black people, like, quick story. My dad at some point ran like a small little restaurant would be a strong term. He cooked food for people and they came and like ate at it. It was a tiny little place in Johannesburg, just outside of Johannesburg actually. And I asked him, I was like, oh, what happened to the place? He's like, oh, it got shut down. I was like, what happened? He's like, they shut it down because I wanted to serve black patrons and white patrons. Then I immediately was like, my father, the saint. What a legend. Then he was like, no. I don't care about the race thing at all. He's like, I don't care. He's like, it just didn't make sense to me. And he's a very like, he's Swiss German. He was like, this makes no sense. Black people and white people eat the same things and use the same cutlery and are the same. What are you doing? It's also terrible for a business. And what the apartheid government wanted is they wanted my father to build an additional bathroom just for black people because they were like, white people and black people should not use the same bathroom. This is scientific. That's what they even said. It's science. And then my dad was like, no, sorry, I'd rather shut down the restaurant because this is crazy to me, right? So he had his own reason, which I guess aligned with good, but he doesn't even accept it when I go, that was a good choice. He's like, no, it just doesn't make sense. Now, when I come back to the world of imagination, I go, if we acknowledge that the things that are weren't always, then we acknowledge the possibility that something new could be, right? The Paralympics is an example.
Yeah.
I remember when the Paralympics first started, like first started, people went, this is crazy.
Have they changed their minds now?
Now, have you seen how big the viewership is? Have you seen how big the endorsements are? You go to a city or a town when the Paralympics is on, the advertisements change, there's major campaigns. It's no longer even, it just moves over to the Paralympics. You get what I'm saying? And in the Paralympics, I found some of the most creative thinking because they went, to your point, how do we find a measure of fair in a thing that we've also invented in terms of fairness? So they're like, how do you say that a person missing a leg from the knee down, who do they run against? Somebody with the same thing? But what if that person has no legs, but it's only from the hip or not from the hip or an eye or a hand? And they were like, you know what? We're just going to work to figure this thing out. Because I think whoever was organizing this, remembered the original idea of what the sport was supposed to be. It was a competition between people, and they were participating in something that we've imagined. It's not real, guys. Like, this is not, do you know what I mean? It's not gravity. The rules and the lines that we draw on a field.
There's a wonderful quote to this very point, that sport is the willing acceptance of arbitrary constraints.
Yes. That's exactly it. So here's an example I was thinking of when I was going through this. I went, we make it seem like in some sports, it's just man, woman, right? That's it. But then in another sport, we'll go, no, it's not just man, woman, it's also age. Age is important. Age, yes, the under 16 World Cup. Oh, why do we have a different category for? Well, they're younger. So who says they should get a different category? But we accept that, right? Boxing for me is probably one of the craziest.
With the classes?
Guys, at some point, and you can clearly see when people want to make concessions, they'll make them. If you think about it, technically boxing should have just been, you fight him, the winner's the winner. And then at some point someone went, bro, I'm skinny, man. Come on, this is not fair. I can't beat that guy. And they didn't go like, well, then you're out. They went, all right. We're going to make a class
Skin into skin.
for these feather light people. You guys who as light as feathers.
I love that about boxing. Though.
But this is what I'm trying to say.
But in running,
No, but this is what I'm trying to say is like, imagine we have a sport where you can come in weighing feathers all the way to heavyweight. We've given, and it's not 1, it's not 2, it's not 3, it's not 4, it's not 5. The weight divisions do this, they do this, they do this. And no one would say to you like, that's crazy, that's so many divisions.
Yeah.
I wonder why we never engaged in these conversations.
You know who the worst offenders are? The swimmers who, they've just created a sport to maximize the number of medals they give out. There's like the 50-meter freestyle, the 100-meter freestyle.
But that's what I mean, it's arbitrary.
It's like what they're going to have before it's all over, like 10 different freestyles.
Yes.
The 150.
Can you do it like a butterfly? Can you do? I have a whole stand-up bit about that where I'm just like, what is this? You're doing it less efficiently and you get more medals.
No one ever uses those strokes outside of competition. That should tell you something.
You see? So now what I'm saying about these conversations.
Eugene is strangely quiet on the question.
No. But what I'm saying about these things is we forget. I think we forget that everything exists in the time that it exists, and it becomes the norm because that's what it is in any given time. But if we stop imagining possibilities, then we're going to be tied to what is now, but not what could ever be. And so when that's funny enough, that's like when I think that's where you've influenced me in my life. It's like a Gladwell way to think. I always think is like, but where was it, and what is it, and what is it trying to be? The fundamental thing sports is trying to be is fair. However, some sports, if we're honest, are inherently unfair. Like to use like the Caster Semenya thing. I remember people would say, "Oh, but she has an unfair advantage." I'll be like, "Yeah, so does LeBron James. If you are like 7 feet tall, you have an unfair advantage in basketball. We should ban you from the sport. You know what I mean? If you are Michael Phelps, you have an unfair advantage that your body doesn't produce as much lactic acid. We should ban you from the sport. But we don't. We celebrate those people because we go, you're a freak of nature. Well done. But then when other people are the same freak of nature, then all of a sudden, you know what I mean? And so I think that's like the thing that frustrates me in some of these moments is, I'm not saying there's a right way and a wrong way and a this way and a that way. But it's like, yo, man, if you can find a way for more people to participate and you can make it as fair as possible, like the UFC does, like boxing does, I will watch 2 skinny men fighting, and then I will watch 2 of the bulkiest men fighting, or for that matter, women in UFC. And I don't go like, this.
You should have been the moderator of this panel. you would have survived much. Jesus, what was I? What was I thinking?
But
no good deed goes unpunished.
No, but I actually think that's what it is.
That's what it is.
But I think in institutions mainly, and which I think sports federations and sports organizations are big, long institutions that have institutional memory of how things were done.
Exactly.
2 things will always alter the course of any institution. It's either the people dying out or commercialization coming in. Because I think when you add money, there's incentive now to accommodate and find creative ways to extract money from sponsors to sponsor the Paralympics.
You're not wrong.
You have the same with let's add more backstroke, side stroke, kick stroke, knee stroke.
Yeah, because they would get rid of that if people stopped watching it and there was no money. They would be like, all right.
Absolutely. And that's what people are finding a problem with now with the Olympics. People watch the Olympics and go, what am I watching? What is this?
Yeah.
Because also it doesn't equal out. So you see, if every discipline that exists in the Olympics, right, exists in the Paralympics, then I would be sold. If there was shooting but with people with something that they normally wouldn't have, I would be fully in. But when I feel like there's concessions being made and I'm like, I'm not watching the full thing. And that's the thing that I find with soccer fans is they watch male soccer.
Yeah.
But then female soccer is, it's not real soccer. It's not real. They don't watch fully. You guys are not fully participant in football.
Yeah, but I think you're missing the point.
Football.
No, but I think you're missing the point though. See, I think this is where I think you're missing the point.
Right.
There are some people like Joseph Opie, our friend. We had him on the podcast. He watches everything. Everything.
Female under 16, young kid. Yeah.
But you see, before you run to that and you go like, oh, a football fan is inconsistent because they watch men's soccer, but they don't watch women's soccer. I also don't watch other leagues. I don't watch the Turkish league. They've got great teams, Galatasaray, Besiktas. They've got great teams that I see in the Champions League. I don't watch the Portuguese league. I don't watch the Italian league. Serie A has had some of the greatest champions that have ever existed. I don't watch the Serie A. I don't watch the South African league. There's many leagues that I don't watch. So I don't think we can quickly say, oh, you're not supporting women's sport because you don't watch that, but you also don't watch other leagues. Do you get what I'm saying? I think the more important thing to ask ourselves is why people are or aren't allowed to just like be part of a thing before we even get to commercialization. Because I'm not saying that everybody must watch the same thing the same. But what I'm saying is, if a skinny ass man is allowed to be a boxer, a man who weighs less than a bag of cement is allowed to be a professional boxer, a man that I can pick up and throw to the other side of the room. Mm-hmm. He'll beat me in a fight, boxing, but I can lift him. If that person gets accommodated, why can we not accommodate a trans woman is what I'm saying. Mm-hmm. That's all I'm saying. Because
I've never thought of boxing as the most egalitarian. Any human being can dream of growing up and being a boxer.
Can I tell you something? Golf is one of the most egalitarian sports ever invented. I know you hate it, but it's one of the most egalitarian.
I hate golf courses.
Courses, of course. No, yeah.
Like
almost
golf.
like the PGA coming for you, as if you haven't been in enough trouble.
Trevor, I'm in enough trouble.
And you can speak your mind, Malcolm. You don't say that we scared you. You can speak your mind. No, I look at golf. Golf has one of the craziest systems ever invented, the handicap system, where you, as a golfer who has just started, can go and play against somebody who's a professional. Mm-hmm. And you can beat them on the same course, hitting the same ball. How did they do that? They adjusted the scoring system to account for what your level is versus what this other person's level is.
It's beautiful.
It's beautiful and it's imaginative. Because what golf could have easily done is said, no, that's how it works. But they realized in the strangest egalitarian way, which no one thinks of as golf being, because it's like the rich sport, etc. They went, we want people to be able to have as much fun as possible playing with and against whoever.
Yes, but there's a difference between hitting something and hitting someone.
Yeah, but what I'm saying is you can...
A 19-year-old can hit a ball same as a 65-year-old.
Not true.
But then, I'm saying that it's a ball that they're hitting. They're
it's not true.
They're not punching each other's faces.
Yes, but what I'm saying is you can make those... That's exactly what I mean by accommodations. Why do we have a youth division? Why do we have a seniors division? Why did we even do that? I can tell you now, a seniors division did not always exist in sports. And then it did.
Enter commercialization.
But that's what I mean by imagination is I go, if we think to ourselves that it stops where we are currently in time, I don't care what it is, technology, education, then I go like, man, then we've become that homogenous society. We've become that high school that all thinks the same way. Mm-hmm. Like I go, you can find a way. Yeah. If you believe that you can find a way, I'm not saying it'll be easy. I'm not saying it'll be obvious. But if you say no, if your answer is no completely, then I'm like,
no to skinny men fighting buff men in boxing. No.
Yeah, but what I'm saying is, we can create a category where skinny men fight skinny men. Mm-hmm. And that's what they've done. Mm-hmm. And so I go, then how are we, and
Which category do you think we should create now to solve everything else?
Oh, no, you see, to lie and say that I have the answer now, I don't have it.
You know what I love about you? Your dimples, one.
I knew you were going to say that.
Yeah.
No, but that's exactly what I mean. Is like I go, I don't. But to your point, we can't get there if we don't have the messy bumbling along discussion. Right. This season in the Premier League, I don't know about all the leagues, the rules changed.
Right.
Do you know how old football is as a sport? But the rules changed now. They said if a goalkeeper holds the ball for longer than 8 seconds, it's now a corner kick.
No way.
Yeah, I didn't grow up with those rules.
8 seconds?
He acts like
I love
he cares.
That's defined as changing the game. Changes everything.
8 seconds?
8 seconds?
Yeah.
We shaved off 8 seconds from the hogging.
Yes.
Wait, so that wasn't a thing before?
That wasn't a thing before.
So the goalkeeper was allowed
The goalkeeper could hold the ball. Once they caught it, they could
still do that thing.
Technically, you were just supposed to get rid of it, but there was no time. The ref would just be like, you took too long. But they made it a rule now. Now I'm saying if an old sport like football can still introduce new rules in 2025, then I think all sports can look at introducing ideas that can include everyone. I don't think a kid who has one leg, let the kid run. Let's find a way for that kid to run.
No, technically they...
Yeah, but you can find a way for them to run.
Yeah.
That's what I'm saying is magical for me. there was this thing I remember, like, I love video games. And I remember when I was at Microsoft, like I've worked with them for a while, like in, the hardware and all of that stuff. One of my favorite things was helping them think about like controllers that kids with disabilities could use. And they were showing me this stuff as like they'd bring a kid in who has a disability and the kid would go like, I now use my feet to play Street Fighter, which seems ridiculous. It seems crazy. And then you see them and you're like, damn, you know what I like in this moment? You're a gamer and I'm a gamer.
Yeah.
The point of a controller wasn't that you could only play a game if you had hands. The point of a controller was that it helped you to control something that was happening on the screen.
Yeah.
And once we realized...
I feel like the moderator at 5 years ago.
You feel like Malcolm?
Because I'm kids with disability must be outside playing with other children.
Yeah, but when
they're finding ways to play more inside by themselves.
But that's not no, they're not playing by themselves. Most of their kids are online. And now if you're the only kid...
other kids with disabilities are online.
What I'm saying is, if you can't be online with your friends who are online, you're now isolated.
No, they changed the rules in a way that allowed the person who previously had a disability to no longer have a disability.
Yes. And so what I'm saying is, if we are going to live in a simplistic binary world, so should trans women compete with women, then I'm like, why are you making it seem like there's only two? And I mean this honestly, like as categories.
So you'd want to have a trans category.
This is how crazy it would be. Imagine if you rewound time. There was someone who said, people who swim butterfly shouldn't be able to swim with people who swim. And they were like, yeah, let's just do butterfly category and a breaststroke category.
Why is it in your voiceovers, people who are stopping things sound boring and the people that...
Because people who stop
that
things
let
are
things
boring.
happen are like, just...
Because people who stop things are boring, Eugene. That's why. We've got to imagine, bruh. You've got to imagine.
Yeah.
Okay, let's imagine it.
No, but
you
gotta
have
imagine.
to stop saying that.
Yeah, because that's...
Yeah, but let's imagine.
You know why?
I like
Disney
that.
movies. That's why I have those voices.
It all comes back.
It does, though. It's Disney movies.
They've ruined us.
It's Disney movies.
Malcolm feels like he was in the part where he was watching Snow White and there was a rat and the 20 minutes long. He was like,
this was the cat and the mouse that went off for 20e minutes.
I loved that.
With the zigzag.
Okay,
simpler.
so wait.
Otherwise.
So now, before we let you go.
Yes.
Who is your favorite
Oh, yeah.
Between the two of
animated
us.
character?
I can't answer. Why am I having such difficulty?
No, I'm just asking.
No, I told you.
Oh, yeah,
I said it was Peppa Pig's grandfather.
Peppa Pig's grandfather.
Who brought back, yes. Peppa Pig's grandfather is my reigning current. And it might be, I'm also fond of Maleficent, who my daughter describes as magnificent, which is so great. You know, she's the witch in, what is she the witch in? Which one?
She's got the curly...
Yeah, she's got the horns.
Yeah. What isn't...
Yeah,
in,
Maleficent. Snow White. No,
is she from Snow?
No, she's in Sleeping Beauty.
Oh, she's in Sleeping Beauty.
Yes.
Got it.
Yes. Yeah.
And for some reason, so today my daughter went to school in a dress that was festooned with just with Maleficent.
Huh.
I don't know what.
Has she watched the spin-off or she just likes her as the villain?
Well, she's fast. What happens is every time Maleficent comes on the screen, who she calls Magnificent, she turns to me, she goes, and I'm not speaking. She goes, "Hush, Daddy. Don't say anything." She doesn't want, she's so riveted by the possibility of drama involving Maleficent that she wants to make sure that I don't step in and like rain on her parade. Meanwhile, she's watched it like 7 times. I'm like, I don't say anything. I'm just sitting here. But no, she's quite militant in her watching of Sleeping Beauty.
What's your favorite cartoon character?
Me?
Yeah.
Of all time?
Yes.
Now you put me on the spot because I haven't been watching them recently like Malcolm has.
Yeah, but old school, new school.
Let me think. Oh, do you have a favorite?
Absolutely.
Who?
Remy from Ratatouille.
Oh, that's an interesting choice.
I mean,
why?
He was like, I can create a human joystick.
Huh. I see what you did there. I see what you did there.
Disability stop him.
Yeah,
I see what you did there. Nicely done.
I thank you.
Nicely done.
You know what I like about you? You're willing to admit when I'm right.
Malcolm Gladwell, thank you for joining us.
Thank you. This is very fun.
This has been a lot of fun. I hope to see you again.
Yes.
This is really great. Thank you.
Thank you. That was fun.
Thank you so much for watching the episode. If you enjoyed it, pass it on to a friend. If you didn't enjoy it, pass it on to your friend still. Let them suffer for a change. And don't forget to engage with us in the comments. If you want to suggest a guest, maybe there's questions you want, maybe there's ideas that you have, you can chat to us. We will read through the comments and we'll get into it. Either way, I appreciate you taking the time. Thank you for hanging out with us on What Now? And remember, we do this for you, so we would like to hear from you. Till next time, thank you.